back. This is the Nick and Joe Show. I'm Nick. He's Joe. I'm out here in what we used to call Bunker F out on the farm. And Joseph is in the broadcast nerve center of Canada's best conservative talk show in the nation's capital of Ottawa. That was kind of a mixed... One of these days I'm going to just write a script out, Joseph, and I'll get something that actually makes some sense to spit out when I bring us back in. That
wasn't bad, though, Nick, I have to tell you. It was, kind of ad-libbing, or it sounded like it was ad-libbing, but what's the point? Again, I go back to when we used to do the combat zone together, and I'd get the intro wrong live, okay? I'd have the script in front of me, and it was like not in little letters, okay? We'd write it out in big black magic marker, and I'd rehearse it 5 or 6 times, and we'd go live, and I still wouldn't get it right.
Well, the enemy has only 3 things to say: bail out, abandon ship, and we surrender.
Right. Take cover, and we surrender.
That's right. I forgot the other one.
All right. Anyway,
yeah. So I'm just getting you back for that, I guess.
That's okay, Nick. I don't hold it against you. I don't know about our listeners. Well, and speaking about our listeners, if you want to participate in the chat room live, ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is click on the live chat, or the chat bubble in the player, and you may have to register. That is to ensure that you are a real flesh and blood human being, not one of those algorithm bots that we've been talking about already. So we spot them miles away. Well, hopefully they get weeded out. Anyway, so we welcome you into the chat room and to participate live. And I guess that's really all the housekeeping stuff I have to talk about here, Nick. And, Nick, you and I have been working together on this show now for, I guess, it's almost 2 full years. And, you've worked around elsewhere. I work around elsewhere. And, but I don't know about you, but I have not really found myself, with the exception maybe of a number of years ago, there was one place where I would have to say that the work environment could be described as toxic, borderline abusive, but I don't know how common that actually is, which is, by way of sort of a roundabout way of delving into our topic for right now, and that is our Governor General, Madame Payette. Payette. Yes.
Payette.
I knew that. I wasn't making fun of her.
Okay.
Anyway, so you didn't go. A while ago, there were stories emerging of workplace of it being an unhappy and even abusive workplace, working for our Governor General, and it got to the point where an independent inquiry was ordered to see really what was going on. And I guess I don't think the report has been released yet, but there were some advance copies that obviously were provided to the government, and the situation apparently was bad enough that now the Governor General has resigned. So, this is... It seems to me, forgive me for not recalling completely, but am I wrong, Nick, in thinking that there were a lot of people that raised their eyebrows when Julie Payette was, it's Julie, right? Julie Payette.
Julie, yeah.
Was actually appointed Governor General a few years ago. That, we were wondering, is this really the kind of person that we want representing our country at that level as Her Majesty's, well, not representing our country, really, it's representing Her Majesty here in Canada. And it just seems to me that there were some questions right from the word go. Am I wrong about that, or is that...
I don't think you're wrong. I know there was a lot when, what was her name? The former broadcaster was Governors General. a lot of old veterans turned their back on her. I'm trying to think of what her name was.
Right. I don't
anyway, she turned out to be actually a pretty good one by the time it was all said and done.
Right.
But Julie, Madame Payette, or whatever you want to call her, she was in the report accused of going so far as to make physical contact in a very abusive way. Now, that's including things like emotional, abuse, being dressed down in front of others. Some people had to take long terms of leave or resign their positions altogether. It was so bad. And all this boils down to really is her attitude. Her attitude was not conducive to someone of that stature. I mean, if you can't be nice to the people who work for you every day, then you probably don't deserve the job. But it's all symbolism with this. I mean, Justin Trudeau wanted someone, that he liked to be Governor General, and I suppose that's true of every Prime Minister. But his standard wasn't just because she was an astronaut doesn't mean she's a good fit for Governors General. If you look back over our history, we've had some really amazing ones, and we've obviously had some lousy ones. But George Vanier was probably one of our best. A World War I vet who lost a leg, was a very devout man, and served the country really well as Governors General. I'm just picking him out of the crowd. There's plenty of others I could turn to. But what bothers me about this is she should have been summarily dismissed. Or, more accurately, the Prime Minister should have gone to the Queen and said, look, Your Majesty, it would be something the Canadian government desires to have you remove this woman from her office. In other words, fire her. She should have been summarily dismissed. No pension, no benefits, nothing. Because in the private sector, go ahead.
I was just going to ask. What are the benefits that she will enjoy now that she is out of office?
$150,000 a year pension and $200,000 a year in spending. $350,000 of our tax dollars a year for the rest of her life.
Why does the governor see? This is a surprise to me. I didn't know this, and I should actually know it. Anyway, I'm not going to go there, but I did not know that the Governor General gets a $200,000 a year spending allowance in addition to their pension for life. This I didn't know, and I'm trying to wrap my mind around why that is. I mean, they don't have any particular special ceremonial functions once they're no longer Governor General. So I just find that to be very bizarre.
Well, what happened was this is according to the Governors General Act, and it was negotiated a while ago, and that's what they put in the act. Reading from an article here from the Financial Post. Let's see. She has $150,000 a year and $200,000 in additional spending the Governor Generals are entitled to in the Governor General's Act. So it's obviously an act of Parliament that allows for this.
Well,
now,
of course it is.
So what I would like to know is who wrote that act and when was it passed, because I know for a fact it wasn't like that in 1867. You don't even have to, come on, they didn't. The Governors General, they were well compensated, but not $350,000 a year.
I don't even know that they were well compensated. It would be an interesting exercise to go back and to see what they were paid, because often the Governor General was not actually somebody who was living. It was not a Canadian living here in Canada, but it was actually a post where the government in London would recommend that somebody be appointed to the King or Queen, who would then make the appointment, and that person then would have to move to Ottawa if they were appointed Governor General of Canada for whatever the term was. And you know, a really interesting historical piece of trivia is that now you see I started to say the trivia, and then I realized that I'm not 100% sure of which colony or which dominion it was, but the former king, former Edward VIII, the Duke of Windsor, was during the war years appointed Governor General of I think it was Bermuda, but it was either Bermuda or Barbados. And of course, he was not a resident or a native of Bermuda or Barbados.
Either place.
Either place. He was a native of England and the former king who had abdicated. So I don't really know. Very, very fascinating topic, but I'm not convinced. The point I'm making here is when you say that they were not compensated as well as today. I'm not convinced that they were compensated as period. But okay, I don't know. Maybe they were. Maybe they had. Well, obviously they would have had some kind of an expense account. Anyway,
they would have been looked after. For sure.
But I don't know the origin of the current situation where you get $200,000 a year spending allowance. And look, fine, pay a severance, pay a pension for a period of time. But I guess the other thing that I wasn't entirely aware of that is news to me, Nick, is not just the $200,000, but the $200,000 a year spending allowance for life, in addition to the pension for life. And, hey, great job if you can get it. All I could say is, to our listeners out there, for those of you who are Canadian, hey, get on the phone and lobby the Prime Minister's office. I want that job.
Yeah,
and then we'll be moving the Think Radio Broadcast Center into Rideau Hall.
Oh, I take that in a heartbeat. Unbelievable.
And by the way, let me stress, okay, for those of you who know me, I'm a monarchist. I believe very strongly in the monarchy. I'm very supportive of our monarchy. I don't want to change it. I don't want to get rid of one iota of it, except maybe, the pension for life in addition to the $200,000 a year spending allowance. I mean, there must be some conditions on that spending allowance, That can't just be, I feel like going out for Kentucky Fried Chicken or something tonight. You would think.
I would like to think it surrounds official, like when a head of state comes to visit, or something along that line.
But Nick,
But I can't see that really being a deal because Rideau Hall would have its own budget for that.
But more importantly, if somebody's coming to visit and there's ceremonial duties that have to be performed, they're going to be performed by the current Governor General, not the past Governor General.
No, I know. I'm busy trying to find out right now. According to Wikipedia, the current salary is $288,900. Now that doesn't break it down, but that's pretty where that $200,000 comes from.